as many times as Danny and I walk up and down this sidewalk.
Well guys, right here is a peach tree that I actually grafted and found. I actually planted a wild seed that I just found off of some peaches, and then I grafted some other stuff into it, and this tree came up to make it ended up being white. I didn't know what I was going to end up with, but it ended up being a white peach. It makes some blooms every year real early, but they always get frozen off. And Wanda come walking down the ramp yesterday, and she goes, "Can you believe that there's actually a peach on this tree?" And I was like, "No, there's no way there's a peach on that tree." And yes, there is a peach on the tree right here. Look at that. One managed to hide up in this tree. I don't know how we haven't seen it walking here, but it is a white peach. We did have several on it one year when it was younger that were the best tasting white peaches I think I have ever eaten. We actually froze some and put them in the freezer, took them out, and they were still crunchy when they thawed out. So we were all excited about this tree, and technically it's only ever bore just a couple, 3 peaches ever since then. So when we were building the garage, we almost cut it down, but we decided, no, let's just keep it. We had to trim it back a lot in order to be able to get the garage building in here. Now we'll continually have to trim it till it gets up above everything in here. But guys, I'm just excited that we've got a peach to eat on it again. And we're going to try to guard this thing with all diligence, just so we can actually see what this one's going to taste like, if it's still holding true to what it was. And maybe now that we have it kind of protected in here, it will do a little bit better job if we can get it to kind of train to grow out yonder way. And, you know, just maybe we'll be able to harvest some peaches off of it before long. Well guys, this is one of our peach trees here. It is loaded with peaches, I'm telling you. I mean, look at these peaches. These limbs are everywhere, and we've already took about 50 off of this tree. Not to mention how we've been fighting the wildlife for them. I mean, they have...
The squirrels have toted.
The squirrels have toted probably 50 off of it.
But look how orange and red looking.
They're so pretty. Look at that.
The color is just... Look
Fabulous.
at that big one up there. Test them.
Yep, that one's getting a little bit soft.
We taking it in.
Look at that. Now, there's nothing prettier in a store. This has been sprayed with nothing.
Is that rainwater?
Just chemical rainwater, I reckon. These 2 right here fell off on the ground from a limb that broke, but
I mean, look at the size.
Look at that. Beautiful
peach. That is
peach.
just awesome. And we've been eating on the ones in the house, even though they're not totally ready.
Well, they've been getting ripe as we've been leaving them on the counter.
They taste really good.
These are just as hard as a rock. I mean, they're still... I like to just kind of like firmly mash in on them a little bit. If I feel them give any, then I know that, you know, it's time for them to come off. And to be honest with you, I don't know the variety of this peach. It's been here for long since before me and Wanda got married. As a matter of fact, 2 years before we got married, which was 8 years ago, which has been 10 years now, the deer were coming in here hooking their horns on these trees and bending them over 10 years ago. And we had to eradicate that problem. But, and they survived it. I'm really surprised that they did. These trees get sprayed with nothing.
This is the first year in 8 years that it's had peaches this big.
This big. It has peaches every year, but the squirrels get them.
This size.
Yeah, about this size, and the squirrels always get them.
Yeah.
But this year we put forth a concerted effort to fix that problem.
Tell the squirrels no.
Yeah, we have to tell them no, and they didn't really appreciate it to start with. I'm just amazed at the color.
They're so hard.
Because they are so red looking. But let me say this. Our mornings in the Deep South, it's July now, today's July the 2nd. Our mornings are still 69 degrees. God, I don't even think I've ever seen that in July here in the Deep South. This year we had a colder, longer winter, and it might be why we have all these peaches on the tree this year, because it was actually cold enough for us to have peaches on this tree. So if the grand solar minimum actually takes place like they say it's going to, then we could be experiencing this every year. Wouldn't that be great? All right, this tree that's right next to it here is a Sam Houston. Now it has some disease problem in it. It actually had peaches on it this year, but by the time I realized what was going on, the squirrels had already got all of them off of this tree and done took them and eat them, and it had like 1 or 2 nice big peaches left on it, and I was really watching it, and one of them snuck in here and got them, and I didn't realize it. So we're not going to get any peaches from this one this year. Now we do have other peach trees on the other part of the property up here that they're not ready either. The peaches in the high tunnel, the dwarf Empress peaches, they came in like a month ago and they were super sweet. Well guys, we're over here now at our pomegranate tree. This was up by the high tunnel last year, and it made big pomegranates, but they never turned red on the inside. And Jen from the nut house told us that there wasn't getting enough sunshine, so we dug it up. It was a big tree. We didn't know if it would live or not, so we dug it up and moved it up here into the open field, planted it back, and it's having a little bit of time struggling this year, you can tell, trying to get going with the new root system and all. But guys, look, it's got pomegranates on it. They're dark red, you know. The sun's making them dark red. We've got several of them on the tree, so we don't want to overload the tree right off the bat, you know, new tree getting started out here. But hopefully this year, we're going to be able to actually have a few pomegranates again. That'll be nice. Guys, this is our native persimmon trees here. We have several of them on the property. They're great for wildlife. Of course, we can eat them too. They're just very astringent until they get completely ripe. But the deer and everything literally love these. If you've got pigs, they like them. If you've got cows, they like them. And this year the trees are just loaded. Now this is just one of them here. And they blend in with the leaves so well, but you pull them out like that, you can actually see them. They're in here. This is just one of many trees that we have on the homestead here. Guys, this is our little tame persimmon. Look at these. Isn't that thing's beautiful? Look at that. There's only 5 on the tree, but because it's such a small tree, we didn't leave a lot on it. But that is just gorgeous. I mean, they're probably going to wait the little tree over.
We're going to have to put a stick on it.
I'm going to probably have to put a stick beside it and tie it up to it, or it'll break the tree over. But
and watch the squirrels.
Isn't that awesome? Look at that. I'm going to probably stick me a stick by it and hold it up straight. Well guys, we have a whole row of banana trees planted here on the head of our pond. This is the end we were having some issues with erosion with. So we figured, why not plant all these banana trees in here? And we're just going to let it grow up for a while this year. Let the grass grow and the weeds grow and the trees and everything to kind of stop the water from doing any more erosion problems than it is. And then once everything kind of gets settled in with some good root system, we'll come in here with a tractor and a bush hog and the weed eaters and lawnmowers, and we'll cut all this stuff down and make it look really nice once we get all the root systems established on it. But I think it's going to be beautiful to look up the pond and see a whole end of the pond, nothing but banana trees standing up here. All right, this is one of our small fruit orchards here that we have planted. We put bare root trees and we put potted trees. And believe it or not, several of the potted trees are dying, like the one out in the middle out yonder, the Whitney crabapple. We had one way down on the end down yonder, it died. We had one die right here, and I come back and put a bare root back in place of it, and it's kind of hanging in there a little bit. But we're trying to get a fruit orchard established on this south sloping hill here, so that when the sun comes up in the mornings, it hits it pretty quick, and it's shaded in the afternoon. That's kind of our plan, so that we don't lose our bloom on them. So we're hoping that this works out pretty good for us. We have plums at the very bottom. Then we have pear trees, and all the rest up here is apple trees of different varieties, just to see which ones do the best here. Well, yesterday this tree was covered up in peaches, and we come out here now and they're all gone.
Not a one on the ground?
No, not on the ground. Something got them. I got a feeling it's from a neighbor's place across the road, because occasionally I see the squirrels coming across the road, and I have a feeling the squirrels came across the road, got them, and took them back across the road while we wasn't paying attention. But yesterday they were on here, because I stopped yesterday and looked at them.
And they were beautiful.
And they were beautiful. and today there's not a one on the tree.
So guys, you can't count on.
You can't count on it. I'm gonna tell you, nature has a way of stealing everything you have. Of course, now we have these peach trees. We have an apple tree right next to it here that's not bearing yet. And then we have several apricots on down this hugel bed here. And then this is all part of our permaculture style setup we have here. And then you come right around. This is our blueberry orchard back here. And then on the hill back over here, right up in there, we have a chestnut trees all planted up in there toward the syrup mill there. So we've got an array of different types of fruit trees. And if you come down the hill here further, right in there is a miniature mulberry. Makes a tiny mulberry, but it's a very sweet mulberry. And right beside it right there is a big persimmon tree standing up in there. So we have just an array.
And there's an apple tree.
And there's an apple tree sticking right there as an apple tree. So we have a lot of different fruit trees stuck everywhere on the property. Guys, we're on the other side of our property here. We have a 100-foot long row of the bronze scuppernongs here. These things this year, I've been really working with them, and look how they are loaded this year. I mean, they look like grapes hanging in here. They're just everywhere. As I pull the leaves up on them all down through here, I mean, they are loaded with scuppernongs. I mean, guys, they are just, I think this is probably our best crop ever with them things. I mean, they are literally loaded, all 100 feet. And then right behind it here is our mayhaw trees. They are finally getting some size to them back here. Probably in the next year or so, we're going to have bumper crops of mayhaws. That's just going to be one heck of a blessing. And then if we come on around, way down yonder on the end, we have a plum tree right down here on the end, and then there's another plum tree, and this is another plum tree. They're all different varieties. And then we have an Alberta peach, and we have another Alberta peach here. So this is a small fruit orchard on this side of our property. We're going to head up toward the house, guys, up here by the Ranger. We're going to show you what we've got going on up in this area right here. Okay, this is our oldest muscadine here. This is an old purple one I've had here for probably 20 years. This thing, guys, I've been neglected this year because I've been so busy. But I came in the other day and started pruning some of it back. And it's got the muscadines up in there. They're not as prolific as the scuppernongs are. But these are so super sweet whenever they get ripe. And they're just fantastic. But now, the beauty of everything is, if we turn around and look here behind us, look at this pear tree, guys. I mean, I don't even know. There's probably thousands. Literally, look up through yonder. There's thousands of pears hanging on this tree. I think it's more than what it can actually handle. And I'm kind of concerned because we have a possible hurricane coming up through here this coming week, and it could do some serious damage to these trees now.
And these aren't ready. They're
not nowhere.
2 months from being ready.
They're about a month from being ready. I mean, this thing, guys, and I'm telling you, they're all the way to the top like that. I mean, literally, just thousands of them hanging up in here. And this was the one year we truly needed as many as we could get to make our to fill our pantries full so that we have an abundance for the years coming. And this is only one of our trees. We're going to take a walk over here and look at one of our other pear trees. All right, next to the big pear tree there, we have a moonglow pear here. This one makes pears about once every 2 years. It really doesn't ever pollinate good. But then right beside it here, guys, I want you to look at this. This one has more pears on it than the other pear tree does. I mean, this tree is literally loaded with, I think we've got literally several thousand pears on this tree. I've never seen this tree with that many pears on it before. I don't know. I kind of got a feeling that we're probably going to have to do some thinning on this one because it's going to break the limbs off.
They're already drooped. Yeah,
they're drooped really, really bad. As a matter of fact, some have already broken the top. And this tree,
it's never bore like this.
Never. Last year we got all we wanted off of it, and invited Miss Sharon and them to come in here, and they came and got, I think, maybe five-gallon bucketfuls off of it.
Yeah, she put up a lot of pears.
She put a lot of pears up, and so This year, if nothing happens and the storm don't come in here and destroy everything, or the tree don't just break off, we'll probably have an abundance again this year. But guys, that's not everything. In behind this tree is another tree. Okay, as we come around the pear tree here to this side, we have our big fig tree. This tree usually produces around 25 to 30 gallons of figs a year. That's on a normal year. This year, it's loaded with more than it's ever had. So I'm kind of thinking that this year, this tree could probably have 40 to 50 gallons on it this year, if we can keep the birds out of it.
And the storms.
And the storms don't come in here and damage it some way. This is a bumper crop this year, and it kind of concerns me with the weather being the way it is. But we've had plenty of rain, and that's what these trees need, is plenty of moisture. And it's not been screaming hot in the mornings. The mornings have been in the high 60s, and the daytimes get up in the 100-degree heat indexes. But it doesn't last a long time during the day. And like this evening, it is 7 o'clock in the evening, and it's very comfortable and cool outside. We've had some rain come through, as usual. It rains every day, and it's really cooled things off this evening.
And we've eaten.
We've
4 or
already
5.
eaten. Yeah, this is the 2nd of July. I ate 4 today, and I think Wanda's been eating a few of them off over today. So it's fixing to start popping, guys. And
Next week.
We're going to start having some figs here before long. And we're going to look at some more fruit trees. Okay, we just come from this fig tree. Now we're going to come across the yard right here. Now this is my grandpa's old ancient fig here. This thing makes a fig about the size of a tennis ball. And this, I want you to look, these figs are loading up on this tree. Now this tree don't ever make a whole lot, but boy, when it does.
And it does it twice a year.
Yep, does it 2 times a year. And I mean, they are some big old figs too now. But now they don't get ripe till a little bit later on. But it's loaded up just like the other fig tree is. And we're excited this year. Hopefully, maybe we're going to get some big figs off of it. And as we turn around by the high tunnels here. Well, actually, before we get to the high tunnels right here, we have apple trees all down through here. We've already picked the apples off of these trees down here. They were already ready. We got them off.
We got an apple tree at the end. We'll go talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, that's one I grafted on the other end. I actually grafted this one right here. This has got 3 different varieties grafted on this one.
And there's a couple of apples on it we can show in a few minutes, but
this is a flowering crab apple. This is our pollinating crab apple right here, this big one right here. Behind it up in there is a big old mulberry. And guys, this year we harvested so many mulberries off of that thing. It wasn't even funny how many mulberries was on that tree.
Now the crab apple's loaded. Can you?
Oh yeah, the crab apple is actually.
It's covered, and you can make jellies out of these.
If I can get up there too.
The animals love them.
The birds love them. We leave it here for the birds though. But see all the little crab apples up in there? The birds come in by the droves, and they just love these crab apples. Plus, they get off into the woods, and they come up and grow little crabapple trees in the woods, and I dig them up and bring them up here, and I graft the regular apples onto them. So it's a benefit that way, too.
Now, this is our biggest mulberry, and it has the big, long mulberries.
Yeah, this is the old big one, and that thing, boy, I mean,
it bore and bore.
I don't even know how many gallons.
It's got new ones, look.
Oh, I do see them. Look at that.
Look at this, y'all.
This is like a 3rd crop this year.
Look.
I see red ones.
Do you see that?
Look at that.
This thing's going to produce all year long.
That's the 3rd crop it's had this year.
Isn't that amazing?
I see a bunch of them right up yonder.
Isn't that crazy?
I see the real red ones right over in yonder. We got some webworms I see starting up in there, the tent caterpillars. I got to get them out.
But this tree has been crazy.
And then we have another one right over by the pier right here. It's sticking right beside the pier there. It's a little bit smaller than this one, but it's getting there.
And it produced a lot.
It had a lot. Yes, it did. It had a whole lot.
A lot of mulberries.
Well, this is one of our pecan trees here. This tree is, this is an old tree. It has never bore pecans. This year, it has some on it, but we're having so much rain, I'm afraid they're going to fall off. But it's actually loaded with pecans. I mean, they're all over it. You can look on the ends of all the limbs up here. There's just pecans everywhere on it. They're growing along fine, but this rain, I'm afraid, is going to destroy the crop.
We've, out of the 2 trees, there's another one down
Now,
there.
that one last year had pecans on it.
We got a handful off of it.
This one had pecans on it last year, but they done nothing. They just fell off the tree. Hopefully this year, if we don't get a storm in here or something, maybe some of these will mature, because I really came in and did the analysis on this tree and the soil sample and everything. And I put everything to the tree that it needs, so hopefully...
And how old is this tree?
Oh gosh, this tree's probably, it was about 6 years old when I got it. And it was about 10 feet tall. From the pecan company, I bought a larger tree because I thought, you know, I'm get pecans earlier. And that's been at least 15 years ago. So
This tree's close to 20 years old.
The tree's close to 20 years old, and it's no bigger than that. So, I mean, it's one of them things, you never know. Okay, we have this apple tree here. This apple tree never bore anything when it was a regular, just plain golden Dorset tree. So I left one of the golden Dorset limbs on it. I grafted an Ein Shamir onto it, and I grafted an Anna apple onto it. So now it's actually 3 different apples. And the Anna apple side has actually, this year, put a few apples on the end of the limb here. So we'll see how they work out. It's the first year it's actually had any apples on it since I grafted it. So, and down here we have the other tree. This one has just about died on us. It got the fire blight, hit it pretty bad. This year we done harvested all the apples off of it because they were just about ready. And the woodpeckers came in here and pecked it full of holes, and the canker started on it. So we figure we're probably going to lose this tree before long. It's been a faithful tree though. As a matter of fact, I see an apple Miss Wanda missed up in here, sticking right up in yonder.
Pick it, because something will get it.
Something will get
Actually, the stink bugs, this was a beautiful tree last week. Nothing wrong with these apples. I come out here 2 days ago. Stink bugs that hit, see?
Look at this.
They're beautiful. They're
Perfect
just
apple.
not totally ready.
Yeah, actually, most people don't realize this. An apple that's slightly green is a little bit healthier for you than a ripe apple is.
Yeah, and I took the ones that had the bug bites, the stink bug bites, and cut all the good parts out. I cut all the good parts out, and then I stewed them down with some brown sugar, and they are amazing.
They're amazing. Plus, if you need pectin, the slightly green apples are really high in pectin, so they make really good pectin for like your jellies and jams and stuff.
I did that with the peelings and
Yes,
the cores.
And the cores, yes.
So now let's go
All right,
to our last.
Let's go to the last apple we got down here. Well, guys, this tree right here, kind of story behind this tree. This is a wild pear tree I went and dug up in the woods. It had big old long thorns all over it and everything. I brought it up here and planted it. Didn't know what I was going to do with it. Then I got this bright idea. I'm going to graft an apple onto it. And I grafted an Anna apple onto it. And this is what I'm ending up with. I've got apples on it, but see, the stink bugs are actually stinging these little apples all over. And we caught the stink bugs on them, stinging them. Here's one right here. They stung this one all up. We've got to, probably have to pick that one, looks like.
Take that one.
Because it's not going to ever do nothing. If we don't, it'll just rot.
And
But then they're all over these other ones over here. We got lots
you see
of...
the weirdness of them.
Yeah, they got kind of a funny shape to them. They almost look like a pear. They got a pear color.
But yet they're an apple.
They're an apple, but they're shaped a little bit kind of like a pear.
But you see where the bugs are trying to get them.
Yeah, we come out here and every morning we have to get the stink bugs off of them. You know, because see, they get on them and sting them, and it's just always going to be something. But look, they're just not. They don't look like a normal apple. They look
They're just different.
They look different. But guys, anyway, I can't take you around to every tree we have on our property. This is about half of our fruit trees. If I took you around to all of them, we'd be here for an hour and something. So I'm going to end it with this one. We've got a lot more trees. We got more apple trees. We got more pear trees. We've got tons of peach trees. We've got citrus trees. We've got dwarf banana trees. We have sawtooth oaks. We have, I mean, just, I can't even sit here and think of all the trees that we have that are nut-bearing trees. We have hickory nut trees. We have tons of wild berries out here. We have tame berries. We have wild raspberries. We have tame raspberries. We got wild blackberries. We got tame blackberries. We have the wild huckleberries by the piles here everywhere. I have put forth a concerted effort to make this into a living permaculture homestead here. so that we have some type of fruit growing every month of the year that we possibly can, that will permit it. And guys, it has turned out to be such a blessing here at Deep South Homestead to have all of this fruit trees. I take down a lot of the big trees and I go back where the big trees were and I plant trees that are edible trees. I'm building an edible landscape with timber and trees and stuff like this, and it's turning out to be awesome. I'm telling you, nothing in the world compares to permaculture. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead. Guys, after what just happened to my other peach tree, all the peaches were gone in one day. I can't risk it with this tree. These are close enough to being ready that they'll turn. We've been eating on them all for about a week anyway, and they've got a really good taste. So I'm gonna go ahead and see, when I just touch them, they fall off. So we're gonna go ahead, rather than lose these, we're gonna go ahead and harvest them and lay them out in the house and let them, give them probably a day or two to soften up a little bit. And we're gonna put these in jars.
And make peach jelly.
Make peach jelly. We'll pick. See, these are, the thing about it is these are organic. They have no spray on them, nothing. They don't have no worms in them. And a lot of y'all is going to ask me, why don't they have worms? I don't know why they don't have worms, but they don't. We'll be able to use the skins on them for making our jams and jellies out of. They've got that bright red color to them. The jam and jelly will be nice and pink and pretty. Man.
And the taste is amazing.
The taste is amazing.
Hear it rumbling.
Yep, it's thundering behind us now. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to set that bucket down. That sucker's getting heavy.
Isn't that gorgeous?
All right, guys, we have a plum tree on our property I planted many years ago. It's never really bore any plums until this year. It loads up with blooms every year, but this year, for some reason, it made a few plums. Now, I found the squirrels actually stealing them. I didn't really know there was any on the tree. So I saw the squirrels running off with one of them, so I got rid of the squirrels and I actually harvested 5 plums off of the tree. Now, these aren't quite ripe. I went ahead and got them because I knew the squirrels would come back and get them. But one of them is really ripe. So I'm going to test one for the first time. Okay, we're going to take a bite of it and just see what it tastes like. Oh man, that's really good. This Wanda's got her hand stuck out, she wants it.
What do you think?
I love it. It's kind of small, but
Oh, the taste is so plum.
it tastes like a real plum, don't it?
Mmm.
Oh my word.
It is good.
Yeah, it's got the seed in it here. I'll just get the seed out of it. The peeling, I don't eat the peeling, but that's interesting.
That is an awesome plum taste.
That's the first, I'll be honest with you, that's really the first plum I've eaten in I don't even know how many years.
That's what they tasted like when we were kids.
When I was a kid, yeah, that's what it tastes like. And I'm excited to know that, I mean, it had little plums on it. I don't know if it's just the fact that maybe it...
That's as big as they get, or?
I don't know. I was hoping, you know, for bigger plums, but I will settle for that.
When we were kids, this is what I would eat, these like this.
Now my daddy had a tree that was like 4 times that big. They were like this big. They were this big old plums. And they were red, but
I've never had the big ones, only the little ones.
Yeah, Dad had the tree that was really big, and that tree was like 25 feet tall and huge, you know. But this, I'll settle with this if it's all I can get. But I'm hoping now that the tree is about, I don't know, it's probably about 5 years old, I think, 5 or 6. So I guess it's about time for it to start putting a few on. So maybe we'll see. Next year, we'll see if it does any better than it did this year. But I know one thing, they're really good.